segment about, is the Algorand Foundation board stepping down? Now, just a reminder, if you guys want to weigh in on this, feel free. If it's something unrelated to our Algorand segment, then, you know, we'll save that for later. But we're going to get into this because I saw this. I just unpulled it up. I saw this and I'm like kind of surprised. So let's take a look at this because I have my doubts about it, let's just say. But here we go. Bankin.algo said the entire Algorand Foundation board is stepping down. Stacy and the board have already had one foot out ready to go for over 6 months. They have held their positions for 4+ years with no way of being removed. They have yet to hit any key KPI goals and have not been held accountable. Actually, I want to see what are those KPIs. I would like that to see laid out, but this is supposedly from Stacy Warden. Now, here's the thing. Anyone could create an account and verify it and call themselves stacy.algo. So I don't know if I 100% believe this, but I'm skeptical that this is real, but I don't know for sure. I thought I heard this somewhere else too. I thought she said on a space that there was going to be some change. I know she talked about that she wasn't, she said something about maybe not being the CEO for too much longer. So I'm not sure about that, but anyway, I do think it's interesting. I would like to see more. There is more. Let's see, what's that going to show up as? Here they were talking about community representation on the foundation board. Said, hi, we will have 2 community members on the board. Selection details not yet determined. Sorry, but without voting over the current board members, adding 2 new from the community will not change who holds the entire board accountable. Regardless of performance, there's zero accountability. Wish I had a job that I couldn't get fired from. Well, and she says, yeah, the entire board is stepping down, as I said. I know this is below. Yeah, Kenneth said she will be gone next year sometime. Yeah, I remember that too. Green Blue says you broadcast the stream where she said it might not make sense for her to be CEO in 2026. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I remembered that right. So thanks for confirming that. I appreciate that because I wasn't 100% sure if I remembered, but I thought I remembered that being the case when I was streaming it. Yeah. So thanks for that. Thanks for that, Green Blue. Let's see. I can move this up. The entire board is stepping down, as I said. Can't wait for voting over the replacements. Huge news. Thanks for sharing, Stacy. I'd go public with it, but that seems more of a bullish post you could make. Obviously, that didn't happen. I'm trying to hit the wrong button here. So yeah, so that is some things that were said allegedly, and let me check that again. So it doesn't have the actual address, which is why I'm like slightly skeptical, but she did say that. Make sure to spread this info across all social platforms. We need this dictatorship to end. We need representation and voting. This all should have been part of the Algorand roadmap. We cannot let them dwindle the treasury that was meant for ecosystem development anymore. I normally am against sharing DMs. However, this bullish insider information is needed to be brought to the public's attention. So interesting. Moonbest says they announced that their current international board would be restructured to reflect US-based operations during the roadmap event. Yeah, I kind of remember that too. Do you guys remember that as well? The first few minutes. Yeah, let's dive in actually.
Hey, morning.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
You guys take Bitcoin, right?
Sure do.
I'm gonna be paying with Ethereum if that's okay.
Okay, yep. No.
Sorry.
Yeah, we all remember this.
The game is on, ladies and gentlemen. We are so excited to finally be able to present to you our roadmap. And the roadmap is, of course, a technical roadmap, right? We have a broader strategic plan, which is all about driving volume to the chain, getting users on the chain, increasing well broadly to be a top 25 or top strategic plan. Now, the technical roadmap is, of course, a really important, is already so good. Crypto is not enough to get you into luxury of having a technical road talk about more, getting their TPS, the gains that we've already can start driving, thinking protocol that we already have in the product space, in the strategy and marketing officer. And Bruno Martins, who is our, wanted to hijack this opportunity to update you on 3 things. One is the liquidity into the DeFi ecosystem. Second is the CTO search. And third is the move to the US. So in terms of providing liquidity into the DeFi, some more announcements on the CTO search has gone off to a privacy protocol, which is.
Well, it's funny because we already know the CTO news, of course, but I just want to get to the part where she talks about the restructure.
Is really no surprise to any of us. And we have gotten, I can really say out loud about this, but a lot of interest from on the cap table than we are. And, you know, these are affirming for us, right? That we have so many people coming to express their interest in this role. And so we are, and we're making very Web3, which is interesting. And some of the troubles and problems that they're facing by Labor Day about a new Kansas has really stepped up as our acting CTO. And the team that John built was just so, all we're missing is a little, you know, and then third, you know, with this new administration and stablecoin legislation passed, so exciting, we need to be in the US. The US is the biggest crypto market, and we are determined to be, you know, we are a US-led chain, US-founded chain, and we need to, you know, make sure that we are there in country and availing ourselves of any opportunities that come from that, frankly. In addition, we need to have a, you know, a better board, right? So our board is, you know, as you guys have all pointed out to me on a number of occasions, and we know it, they're a very good board though, from a governance perspective, but they're not representative and they are not, they're not visible in a way to the ecosystem. And so we are progressing on this move to the US and this effort to get a new and revitalized board. So those are the kind of the 2 tracks.
So yeah, she did talk. We covered that this was happening. And so I guess it was really not even really that big of news. It's just a matter of like how the board will be restructured and who will be involved. You know, according to the DM, she mentioned some community members on the board, which I think is a good thing. I think it's good to have that representation. Because kind of says like, just curious that Stacy will DM these messages to random people. It's not impossible. It's not impossible. We need to hand off to the XGov Council. Yeah, that could be an interesting way to do it. Like chairman and community seat for voting. No shilling here. We have no liquidity coming in unless Trump does tax-free for American blockchains. So I wouldn't say that. I don't think that's true at all. HBAR is just about to get an ETF, but that's like besides the point of what we're talking about here. Algorand is a failure. LOL, too many quests. Did you mean Algoland? I think you meant Algoland. Dawa Cuticle? Whoever, Dua Cuticle. I think Algoland, like the first week I was like really excited about it. And then I just totally lost interest. It just wasn't, it just was too, you know, it was a little much, I think. But I'm skeptical that Algoland really brought in people from other ecosystems, and maybe it did, and I'm not aware of it, but I haven't seen them share any metrics that indicate that. I just don't see that it was more people than. Yeah, that's what I thought. Algoland is a failure. Yeah. What do you think the Algo marketing team has to do their role to expand awareness about Algorand? Here in Asia, they call Algo senior citizens coin. Where in Asia are you, by the way? I'm curious. That's very interesting. Well, I maybe that makes me a senior citizen. Listen, I think Algorand is like, it's always going to be it is going to be the senior citizen chain. It's like it's the stuff that's going on in the background. I think it's going to do the boring but important stuff. And yeah, it's not going to get investors excited for short-term games, but I think it'll still be a good long-term, you know, think about 10, 20 years from now. I think Algorand will just be, it'll still be there as long as crypto is still around, for sure. But definitely not like, this isn't a get rich, you know, there's other coins that are going to pump harder. And so that's always been my position on Algorand. Algorand's more like your, you know how I work, you know, and I don't have a work anymore. I've worked for myself, but you know, at a job, you'll have like the rock stars, but then you'll have like your utility player, and nobody gets excited about the utility player, but they're always like the go-to reliable one. That's what Algorand is. But those tend to last longer. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, let's see. We got more Algorand stuff, so I just wanted to talk about that. I thought it was interesting. Actually, maybe I'll see some more. Let's see some more people. There's the board. I don't know anything about them. I said, I read it as we're all stepping down from this sinking ship. It ain't sunk yet, just a mutiny for control. Green Blue says, I've explored more of the ecosystem for sure via Algorand. That's cool. Algo went from 10 to 50 cents this year, right? Was it this year? I think it went to 60 cents last year. I do. Okay, we got to fact check that. We're going to fact check that because I don't think that's true. Last year we went up to 60 cents during that huge. I got way too much stuff up. Hold on. I'm gonna start taking some tabs down. I just got too many tabs up. This is like my old computer's taking, everything's taking forever. Oh, it's not as bad as my own. I take that back. It's not as bad as my own computer. Okay, here's 1 year. Maybe I'm wrong. I forgot. We went up to like 50. I thought we got to like 60. Didn't we not get to 60 some? Well, anyway, beginning of the year, yeah, it was. But we didn't go from 10 to 50. We went from 50 to 21 actually. Last year is when it went from 10 to 50. But close. Yeah, all Algo needs is better marketing. I don't know. I've become kind of skeptical on that because I think we've had some pretty good marketing and it hasn't really moved the needle a ton. Well, I guess I know there's a lot of people that hope Stacy steps down. I just don't think it's, I could be wrong. I don't think it's going to make a big difference. And, you know, I'm not like anti-Stacy like a lot of people. I'm not like, it's not like I think she's like the best in the world, but let's see what else we got. You guys know what a perp dex is? Because we got some, yeah, Cloudy Vibe says we hit 61 cents in December. I thought I thought it was December. I thought I remember hitting that. It's not showing up on the chart because I think it was pretty brief, right? So this is from Sarah Maria. Sarah is the interoperability person on Algo Foundation. So I thought this was pretty interesting, and we got some. There's more to this, so just hang on a second. Okay, imagine a perp dex on Algorand Foundation. So what that means is that's a decentralized exchange for perpetual contracts. Perpetual contracts or perps they allow you to trade on an asset without actually owning the asset. So it's basically like futures trading. And you can do like leverage trading. I'm not going to touch that, but you know, enjoy. Fast, secure, not taking your firstborn in fees, quantum resistant from 2026 onward, cross-chain accessible. In 2024, I dreamed of improved operability on Algorand. In 2025, I dream of perp dex. Do you do what you want with that piece of information? Now, Geek.algo said, so when Algorand in CCTP, CCIP, that's Chainlink, by the way. Sarah responded, we just integrated, I think she meant Allbridge to enable native USDC bridging. More interoperable solutions are coming. So seeming to be indicating that they might be looking at Chainlink, maybe. Appreciate the determination. Geek.algo said, we only care about CCIP, CCTP, less pointless parties and selfies, more CPI. Looking across community engagement, technical needs, startup ecosystem, and improve accessibility, there are way more to consider. I think he's kind of right, though, to be honest. I think that is a huge factor. Funny enough, I just had a chat about Quantos. Just because you guys don't see it yet doesn't mean it's not happening. That is something to keep in mind. A lot of this stuff is going to go on behind the scenes, but I just thought that was interesting because The first off, possibility of a perp dex, and then maybe hinting that Chainlink is coming. I think they just got to do Chainlink. I think it's silly not to do that. I should have had this one. Sorry. At this point, like, it's just, I think Chainlink is inevitable, and I think they got to do that. This is, I thought this was kind of interesting, you know. So I've been pretty bullish on the whole Pera Wallet, Pera card thing, but this is Algorand here makes a really good point. It says, you thought including those metrics on this infographic was a good idea. Another great product with no users. This was on their thing for, you know, expanding to 3 new countries. So all-time spend is 140,000 USDC. Daily spend 1,000. That's really low. He's not wrong. That's incredibly low. That is really, really low. And I would be very concerned about that. I am. I would be very concerned about that. Now, I think a lot of that is because, well, first off, they've been in UK, Italy, Germany, Spain, and New Zealand. Begum says 140. Wow, that's the way forward, Algo family. Yeah. 140, that's pretty small, I gotta say. And they've added Netherlands, Poland, Portugal, but you know what they really need? They really need, they need to go live in the US. It's just got to happen. You're not going to get volume until they go to the US. I think that's 100% true. So I don't know. You guys do what you want with that. I just think that's interesting. It's something that I'm kind of tracking. Let's see here. What else we got? Oh, yeah, just a little shout out to Tiny Man here. 450 million in trading volume this year and counting. Tiny Man continues to be the liquidity backbone of Algorand DeFi ecosystem. A huge thanks to our community of traders, LPs, projects who keep the markets alive every day, onward to 500 million. Now I'm all in on DeFi, on ready pools right now. So all my bag, I just put it over there. I've kind of had it with my problem with Tiny Man with the liquid, you know, the liquid staking is it's really hard to track exactly how you're doing. Cloudy Vibe says, I'm sure those countries don't hold a lot of algo. Watch what happens when it comes to the US. Here's the other part about that. Let's go back to that because I'm going to pull that back up. Here's the part about that. A lot of people are probably waiting to take profits, so they don't have a lot of USDC. And also there's some stuff about the use case. Like, I think a lot of people aren't going to sell Algorand to go to USDC to spend it because then you're taking on an event, you know. You're taking on a liquidity event. You're taking on a taxable event. Whereas now I get, you know, my sponsors pay me in USDC. So that would be very convenient for me instead of having to transfer it over to fiat that I could just use it. That would be actually really helpful for me. So I kind of like that. I actually want to use the Pera card. I'm ready to use the Pera card, but it's got to be live here. Pera says they're just waiting for regulation in the USA to be clear, as in the Clarity Act. Yeah, I thought the Genius Act would have actually helped that, but maybe I'm wrong. Cuticle says going to lock my Tiny Man bag for another decade if I want profits. I actually made profit on it. Well, first off, all my Tiny was free. So I took a gamble, I locked it all up, and I made, you know, I made more in rewards than I would have lost if, say, all the Tiny Man was gone. So I made more than the initial bag. So if I just taken that bag and sold it right away, I would have made less than I made by locking it up. So, you know, whatever. In fact, I can show you guys. Let's go back to full screen here. I'll just show you guys. Why not? Probably got some. Yeah, I actually got some to claim here. Yeah, so I made 183, and I think it was like 140 or 130 is like the dollar amount of what they had initially given me. And you can see it down here. I don't know if you can see that really well. Almost 4,000. It's actually quite a bit more that I got because, yeah, I got like 5,400 in rewards on Tiny and 3,800. But I got way more in value because in the early days it was worth a lot more. Now it's going down. So I made it okay. But today them and switching them to USDC and taking it. Yep. I'm one of the guys that's crashing it. I've been staking on Tiny on folks. No lockup and no voting power. Yeah. I have not voted on one single thing ever. I just don't care. I'll be honest, like I just don't care about voting on almost anything, to be honest. Like just do it. I don't care. I don't care what you do. Like listen, I don't run a DEX. What do I know? Anyway. Yeah, I think that's all I had on Algorand, so we can be done with that segment, but